The first story was sent in by someone who said they'd always believed danger came from strangers, random people, faces you didn't recognize. They never imagined the person who made them feel the most unsafe would be someone they worked with every single day. They were in their mid-20s, working an entry-level office job at a small marketing firm. Open floor plan, glass conference rooms, the kind of place where everyone pretended to be friends because HR liked the word culture. That's where they met him. He was quiet, polite, always early. He didn't stand out at first, which is why no one paid attention when he started paying attention to her. It began with small things. He'd remember details she never told him directly. What time she usually arrived, which mug was hers, the route she took to the parking lot. She told herself he was just observant. Then came the comments. Rough night? When she hadn't mentioned being tired. You didn't eat lunch yesterday, said casually, like an observation. You should lock your car, once as they walked out together. People linger around here. She laughed it off, jokes, awkward jokes, until one evening she stayed late to finish a project. Everyone else had gone home. The office lights dimmed automatically, leaving only a few rows illuminated. She felt someone behind her. It was him. He said he'd forgotten something. They talked for a minute, then he leaned closer and said quietly, "You know I could hear you breathing from the hallway." Her stomach dropped. She packed up and left immediately. The next morning she found something on her desk, a printed photo. It was of her apartment building, taken from across the street. No note, no explanation. She reported it to HR. They told her he was socially awkward and probably meant no harm. That night she found her apartment door unlocked. Nothing was missing. Nothing was moved, except her bedroom window. It was open. She slept at a friend's place and never went back to that apartment. A week later, she quit her job. She later learned he'd been fired months after for accessing employee records he had no permission to view. The second story came from a man who worked overnight at a warehouse. Long shifts, loud machinery, dozens of people moving around forklifts and conveyor belts. He said night shift workers form strange bonds. You see each other exhausted, half awake, stripped of politeness. That's how he met Marcus. Marcus was friendly in a forced way, smiled too much, asked too many questions. At first, it was harmless. Where do you live? Do you have family nearby? What time do you usually get off? Then Marcus started appearing everywhere. Break room, locker area, parking lot. One night, Marcus leaned over during a break and said, "You ever think about how easy it'd be to disappear in a place like this?" The man laughed nervously. Marcus didn't. A few weeks later, someone sabotaged a forklift, brake line cut. No one was hurt, but it could have been fatal. Security reviewed footage. They saw Marcus near the forklift earlier that night. When questioned, Marcus denied it calmly, too calmly. The man started noticing Marcus watching him, not casually, intently. One night as they clocked out, Marcus followed him to his car. "I had a dream about you," Marcus said. "You didn't make it home." The man drove straight to the police station and sat there until sunrise. Marcus stopped showing up to work shortly after. A year later, the man saw his face on the news. Marcus had been arrested for assaulting a co-worker at a different warehouse. The third story came from a woman who worked in healthcare. She said hospitals have a way of hiding strange people in plain sight. She worked day shifts on a medical floor. There was one nurse everyone avoided, not because he was mean, but because something about him felt off. He never showed emotion, never raised his voice, never reacted to emergencies the way others did. Patients complained about him constantly. "He just watches," one patient said. "He smiles when it hurts," another whispered. Management ignored it. One night after a long shift, she forgot her phone and went back to the locker room. She heard voices. She followed the sound to the supply room. Inside, she saw him, talking to someone. No one else was there. He was facing the wall. She backed away slowly. The next day, he didn't come to work. Neither did the patient from room 312. Security footage later showed the nurse wheeling an empty bed toward the service elevator at 3:12 a.m. He was never found. And sometimes when the hospital is quiet, staff swear they still see someone standing in the supply room, smiling at the wall,